Sure is a nice day for doing nothing.
It all started actually just as we were wrapping up Jonah. And that was a ton of fun. Just take these three characters. All right, what's their flaw? You know, what keeps them from succeeding in life? Now let's send them on an adventure that somehow addresses that, which is what almost every great story ultimately is about.
Phil's just a great writer. I mean, he knows these characters inside and out, and he and I have been working together for so long.
When the three pirates get going, because it's so improvisational, I'm really just having them talk in my head and then trying to write it down as fast as I can. So it's a great advantage to me that I do so many of the characters. So many times writing a script just feels like I'm taking a transcription.
Phil wrote a tremendous script. It was a really great script.
That's your basis for everything. Without a good script, you don't have a movie. Then you hire your people. Of course, a big idea, you don't have to hire that many people because they're all here and they're very talented.
Having actual artists at the front end during initial development, that's, I think, where your creativity comes from. The idea that when you're getting ready to do character design, I tried to open it up for a couple of weeks where everybody could just experiment. Character design, the heart of it is the character, his personality, and how they're going to be used.
I loved designing the rock monster. That was wide open. I knew he had to be big. I knew he didn't have any dialogue, so I could do things that I normally wouldn't do because I didn't have to worry about moving his mouth. But I came up with this idea that, you know, the rocks would slide on top of each other. If his expression changed, his bottom jaw would rotate and turn into a frown, or would rotate back and turn into a smile.
The Adventure Time characters are deceptively simple looking. In the roughest kind of form, they are very simple. They're usually circular shapes or ovals or those kind of shapes or combinations of the two.
Robert was a real challenge because he's made up of so many different pieces. One arm was a gear, one arm was part wood. He had to have a real hand and a claw, just a clamp. So it was really just trying to put all that together and make a good drawing.
When you design a location, for example, like an alleyway, first thing you do is you look at the script. The script says there's a door here, there's a dumpster here, and there's a road here because the garbage truck has to go down the street. So you got your basic points of what you want things to look like. Then what you do is you use your imagination. You start drawing like things that you remember, boxes and dumpsters, and you know, you put little things in there like loading dock, you know, and all of a sudden every little thing you add in there, as long as it doesn't distract from anything, makes it feel like it's a realized and envisioned place.
One of the things that we did differently on this film from any other production of VeggieTales is we did a lot of pre-visualization shooting. We actually created a 3D rough set of every set, every location in the movie. So we're actually able to go in with a camera and shoot our shots. We took these screen grabs from this pre-visualization and we gave it to our storyboard artists, and they elaborated on that, drew, you know, filled in the blanks, you know, through the emotion and the characters.
As a storyboard artist, you become kind of you're an actor and a cameraman. You're all those things all at once. You're really planning the shots, you're planning the cutting, and you're also planning facial expressions and acting of the characters that will then help the animators later on.
The storyboard artists are incredible because they can add gags to it, make it funnier.
I thought it would be funny if One-Eyed Louie's closed eye would, you know, he sees the rock approaching and, you know, pops open.
You know, we had our storyboards all completed, so we began editorial. John Welba came in, who was also the editor on Jonah, and we just started the process of editing the film from the storyboards.
Well, editing an animated film is totally different because editing an animated film comes actually in pre-production rather than post-production. You start from the script and try to put it to a form where it's heard, seen, and felt. And then you try to evaluate it. Is it working? Is it not? So you have a lot of opportunities to develop the story as you go.
Once that was done, we had basically then the blueprint for the show created. And then in fall of that year, of 06, we moved the production up to Toronto, where we began the production process.
designed the look of the scene, months and months and months ago. So our job is to try and hit that as closely as possible. Because this is not a DVD, this is a feature film, we've obviously had to up the bar. And it's a more complicated look, it's a more richer environment, bigger sets, more characters, etc.
I think everything that we had on Rock Monster Island is some of my favorite stuff. I think those are really likable characters. I think we did some really fun stuff with them. With the father jumping across the rocks was one of my favorite scenes. Having the tiny little characters interact with the itty bitty cheese girls and the giant rock monsters for me is probably the coolest thing we did.
Well, they're fun, and they're funny, and they've got talking vegetables, which nothing else I have wish on. And Mike is nice enough to let me do crazy little voices like the cheese girls.
Well, score in itself just really helps define emotion, and Kurt knew exactly what we were looking for emotionally.
One of the most pleasant surprises for me was we'd been watching the movie for a year and a half with a temporary score, and 2 weeks ago I saw the final score of the movie, and I just feel like this was really Kurt's best work.
The Rock Monster scene, it's one of my favorites. You've just got this driving music throughout, and yet there's all these hits that go on where characters are looking at each other. What is the emotion? What's the feeling? And the music is one of the key things that helps us understand what's going on.
Kurt was ready to go with score, and we went over to Prague, which was an amazing experience in the Czech Republic to record our score with a full 80-piece orchestra.
And it was just an incredible sound. And to be able to sit and hear my own music played by an orchestra like that is just incredible. The fact that they walk in, 80 of them have never seen the music before, they sit down, and within 15 minutes you're hearing a lush orchestra playing exactly what you're intending to hear. One note is probably my favorite note in the score because it's so simple. It's literally one note played by one instrument, and it's probably the softest note in the whole score. The pirates are in the dungeon trying to figure out how to rescue Eloise, and they're thinking, and Cedric has an idea. And there's one bell as he has an idea, and it speaks volumes to me. It's like, oh, of course, he's got an idea.
Only we could get real small.
We had to record the singing for the Jolly Joe song. And I love the Jolly Joe song. Mike came up with it, and it was a fairly late edition. But we needed all the background pirates, the argy, argy, argy kind of stuff. And so we actually had, I think there were 7 of us in the recording booth all at once, which is a little unusual. Very often we go in one at a time. And Kurt Heineke was directing, but he was also singing, so he was in the booth too. So it's like the editor, John Waba, and Mike, and me, and 3 or 4 other guys. And so we all just started pirating together, and it was hilarious. It was really fun just to be in it.
I think it's a terrific film that it just really delivers on the message, on the entertainment side of it, laughs and humor, and it's just hard to put in words how proud I am, to really be working with such a great team of people.
A movie is a very collaborative process because you have all of these different people with their skill sets, bringing them together, and each one is brilliant in their own area. That's what makes a good movie, I think, when you find those brilliant people. And that was what was really amazing about this movie.
God has put us into a world that is full of story. That every person's life is a story. Whether you're a Christian or a non-Christian, your life is your story.
Kids, as they can identify with a character, see what a character is going through, the lessons that they learn, it's so much easier to then life. story does that really well, and we're trying here at Big Idea to be really good storytellers and to be able to incorporate those messages and those lessons into stories that really have an impact on kids.